Today's episode on the art of being yourself and the 7 truths is inspired by the Bridgerton series, but it's going to be taught by me, your friend Mel. So let me get this big old wig off. But you know what? I think I'm going to leave the dress on because I think this is a pretty good color for me. So today I'm going to share 7 truths about how you can be your most authentic self. Are you ready? Awesome. So am I. Let's go. So here's the first truth about being your most authentic self. When you start putting yourself first, you're going to disappoint other people. It is inevitable. You have to learn how to be okay with it. Because if someone's going to be disappointed by the way that you're living your life, it better not be you. And I'm going to say that again. Someone is always going to be disappointed by the choices that you're making. But starting today, if you want to live a life that is true to you, it better not be you that is disappointed by the decisions that you're making. And there is no faster way to be disappointed with your life than living it in a way that makes other people happy, but you miserable. Somebody will always be disappointed. And I can give you a bazillion examples from my own life. Like, for example, when I met my husband, Chris, I grew up in the Midwest. Chris's family is from the Northeast. My parents were not that thrilled. I mean, they liked Chris, but they had always hoped that I would marry somebody that would bring me back to the Midwest. And now, of course, that I'm a parent, I secretly hope that my 3 kids, that their partners, keep them close to me. I get it. So they were really disappointed that I married somebody that had me build a life with him far away. But the truth is, it doesn't matter that they're disappointed because it's my life. I've got to learn, if I want to live a life that is authentic to me, how to make decisions that make me happy and hold space for the people in my life that might be disappointed about it. And so are you. So if you plan to leave that corporate job and you want to take a risk and do that startup business, or you want to do something in the health space, guess who's going to question you? Everybody. Your partner might question you because they're worried about whether or not you're going to be successful. Your parents might question you because they're in a generation where you stayed in the corporate job forever. Your kids might be questioning you because they're worried about whether or not you're going to be traveling too much for this new thing that you're doing and whether or not you're going to be around. It's okay that people question you. Just don't let their questioning make you question the decisions that are the best decisions for you. Here's another one. Let's say you want to start a new chapter. And part of that new chapter is that you're going to move across country. Are there going to be people in your life that are disappointed that you're leaving where you live now? Of course. They love you. Your friends don't want you to leave because they love being around you. Hold space for them to be disappointed, but don't you dare let that stop you from doing what's authentic to you. And another one that you may struggle with, especially if you're a people pleaser and you being you is something that is going to require a lot of boundaries. When you start standing in your no, and you're no longer a doormat, you better believe people are going to be disappointed because they are so used to taking advantage of you that this is a whole new you. They're not going to like the new you because the old you was a person that they got a lot of mileage out of, whether they realized it or not. And so I am here to tell you, to give you permission right here and now to say no. I am here to tell you that being the true you means that your mom might not like what you do. Your roommates may be upset about it. Your significant other, your boss, all of it. But you got to learn how to start speaking up for yourself. You got to learn to say, it's not in my budget. I can't go on the girls' trip. I'm not interested in another date. I'm not staying out late tonight. No, you're not borrowing that thing. All of these things are not only reasonable to say, they are necessary for you because you got to learn how to let other people down, to pick yourself up and to put yourself first. You're not responsible for somebody else's reactions to what you're doing. You're responsible for making decisions that make you proud and make you happy. And the fact is, if taking care of yourself means you got to let someone down, then let someone down. And I get it. This is going to be hard. This is hard for everybody. It's one of the reasons why being the most authentic version of yourself is one of the bravest things in the world to do. because you do have to learn how to let other people down. You do have to learn how to hold space for somebody to be disappointed or upset with the decisions that you're making when you know that these decisions actually are the right ones for you. And right now, your comfort zone is not doing you any favors because people are walking all over you and you're pretending to like things you don't like and you're not speaking up for yourself. When you push yourself in this regard and you feel that discomfort, you're building resilience. And here's the really important part. It strengthens your sense of self. Because when you're a doormat, or when you stay silent, or when you make decisions because you're scared of disappointing people, you lose your sense of self, don't you? There's a little part of you that dies a little bit. And so I want you to reframe the discomfort that you feel when you start to make decisions that feel good for you. And you also hold space for knowing that someone's going to be let down. Someone's going to be disappointed when you say no. Somebody is going to have a little reaction. You can hold space for that and still be true to yourself. Reframe this tension that you feel as a sign of growth. It's not a sign of failure. You're not failing anybody. You're actually succeeding in becoming yourself. Honor your feelings. Hold space for someone else's reaction. It's not your responsibility to manage it. They're an adult. Let them sit with their feelings. Your responsibility is to stay true to yourself. And there will always be somebody who is let down by the decisions that you're making. But starting today, it better not be you that's let down by the way that you're living your life. Because to be your true self, you are going to disappoint someone, period. Learn to live with it. Here's the second truth about living your most authentic life and being your most authentic self. Being yourself is so energizing. And we forget that because it's easy to live a life where you're just going through the motions and you feel super depleted. And you know that this is true, that being yourself is energizing. Because when you're pretending to be someone that you're not, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And it's important to really highlight what I'm talking about here because I know that you're going to be listening. You're like, but how do I know what's true? How do I know to trust my instincts? How do I know, to trust my gut? Yes, you do. You know exactly who you are. I'm going to repeat that. You know exactly who you are. And let me explain why. There is an energy that is associated with your true, authentic self, okay? An energy. You literally feel expanded when you are living in your truth. And oftentimes, simply knowing that the people that you're around, the life that you're leading, it is depleting your energy. That's how you know you're not being true to yourself. And I want to really highlight something here. It takes courage to recognize that you're in a chapter of your life where you're not being true to yourself, where the people that you're around, where the time that you're spending, it's draining you. And I want to dive deeper into this and make sure that you have a very clear picture of what being authentic means and how empowering and energizing it is. And that term authentic self, what does that even mean? Well, let's bring in one of the world's leading experts, a psychologist by the name of Dr. Ramani Diversala. She's appeared on the Mel Robbins podcast a number of times. And I want you to hear what she says about what it truly takes to be the most authentic you.
The hardest thing in the world is to be authentic, because to be authentic is to be unpopular. To be authentic is to blaze your own trail, even when other people are clucking at you and stigmatizing you and giving you the side eye. What are you doing? People don't do that. You're supposed to do the sort of missionary position, follow the rules kind of life. And authentic people say, no, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. Authentic people are very clear on their values, what they stand for, what matters for them. And so I'm not saying that authentic people don't feel guilt. They'll feel tremendous guilt, but they'll also feel committed to the potential within them and the people they care about. And to say, ultimately, giving in to this person's abuse is not doing, honestly, me any favors for sure. It's not doing my kids any favors. It's not doing the people I care about any favors. And it's actually not doing them any favors because it's reinforcing them in this sick cycle. And I don't want to be part of this. So we've got to get away from the idea that authenticity is easy. Authentic people actually often have smaller social networks than other people because they've culled away all the dead weight. They've cleared away all the branches that are dead. Like they said, no, I will not have people around me that are unhealthy, that are invalidating. I mean, it is a brave stand, and it's not an easy stand. And some people say authentic people are selfish, they're cold, they're uppity. They'll really paint them in like, oh, who do you think you are that you get to do that? And all the authentic person is doing is trying to draw a boundary against unhealthy people.
I want to repeat a few things that really struck me about what Dr. Ramani said. That being authentic is one of the hardest things in the world. And the reason why that's true is because you got to be willing to disappoint people, and you got to be willing to put yourself first. And I love that she kept using the words brave and courageous, and that authentic people know what they stand for. And they have a healthy circle surrounding them. And oftentimes it's a small circle. And that was a huge takeaway for me. Because I think what happens when you start to put yourself first and you are willing to disappoint people and you start to pay attention to your energy, where is it that you feel energized? Where do you feel depleted in your life? Your energy is telling you who's draining you and who's not. And I have found personally that the more that I live my life aligned with what is right for me, the smaller and smaller my friend group gets, because you start to value the type of people and situations that bring you energy. It's sort of like, you could think about it this way. Energy is the truth teller here when it comes to what's authentic to you. And when you're in a situation that is aligned with who you actually are and what you value, it's almost like you can plug into a light socket and you feel energized and lit up by the people around you or what you're doing. And the same is true about being in the wrong situation or the wrong room. You've had those experiences, right? Where you walk in and you're all feeling confident and alive and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, whoop, pull the plug out of the socket because I don't feel any energy right here. And that's what Dr. Ramani means when she says it's one of the hardest things in the world, because you have to start to pay attention when you want to live as your true self to what spaces, places, and people restrict your energy and what places, spaces, and people expand your energy. Because you do have a life force energy. And when you are living your life in a way that is true to who you actually are, you do come alive. It's rocket fuel for your soul. It propels you forward. It gives you a sense of purpose and passion, and it can make you unstoppable. So I know what you're thinking. Okay, Mel, that's great. I get it. I can think of situations where I've been around people that drain my life force energy, and I was a doormat and a people pleaser, and I was not myself. I get it. I also know the few people in my life where I feel like I can be myself. But how do I do this? How do I start to be and live as my true self? Well, let's find the energy. I'm going to give you some questions to really think about, because the energy doesn't lie. Where in your life do you feel the most energized and excited and expansive? I want you to really think about that, okay? Are there certain people that when their name just pops up on your phone, you're like, oh, something opens up? Are there ways that you're spending your time that you just get lost in time because you just enjoy doing it so much? What really makes you come alive? Who excites you? What are the things in your life that you look forward to? And if you can't think about anything, you're so drained by your life, you're so off track, I want you to think back to your childhood, or think back to a point in your life where you were just happier. You felt more energized. You had more to look forward to. And ask yourself, what was I doing when I was happier? Maybe you were on a soccer team when you were in college, and you were often with groups of friends exercising or training. Could you add that back in now by joining a gym? Could you sign up for a 5K? Could you get a bunch of friends to go for a hike this weekend? Maybe when you were younger, you spent hours drawing. You would just get lost in a puzzle or playing cards or creating intricate worlds or fascinating movies in your mind or these little clay animation things that you would make at the dining room table. Or maybe you were building things. You were happiest when you were remodeling your house yourself and painting every room after work. Maybe you were writing or playing with animals or making people laugh with your hilarious sense of humor and taking an improv class. That thing that made you happy, that thing that made you come alive. That's the starting point to opening up to more happiness, to more of your true self. It might just mean something small, putting spirituality or meditation back into your life. Whatever it is that makes you feel more energized and more expanded, more like yourself. Wouldn't it be great to feel more like yourself? That's what I'm talking about. Because when you get honest with yourself about what uniquely makes you feel like you, and you start to take the little actions that insert little bits of happiness, little bits of you, things that are right in front of your face, back into your life right now, your true self comes to the surface. When you pick up the pen, when you start doing the creative projects, when you go back to church, when you start training for that 5K, when you get out into the woods every weekend, that's what's going to make you feel like you. And look, because you're not doing it right now, it might not feel that easy to do, but I promise you, this is exactly what you need to do. And it is so much easier than trying to be like everybody else. I want you to reclaim your life force energy back for yourself and start building a life that feels more authentically like you. And that's truth number 2. Being yourself is energizing. And when you stop pretending to be somebody else and you start allowing yourself to just live your life in a way that makes you feel more expanded, well, that's going to make you more confident. And that brings me to truth number 3. Being yourself creates confidence. Because the more that you pretend to be somebody that you're not, the more that you pretend to like things that you don't really like to do, the more self-doubt, the more fear and paralysis that you're going to feel. I recently had this epiphany. I am a member of a family where everybody in my family loves to ski. And for years, I have pretended that I like to ski. And you want to know the truth? I don't like to ski. I really don't. And I finally said to my family this winter, you know what, guys? I love that we're a ski family, but I'm not a ski family person. And so you guys can ski, but I'm not going to really ski anymore. And I don't really feel the pressure to ski. And I want to tell you something. It was so liberating. Were they disappointed? Of course, because they want me out on the slopes with them. I don't want to do it. It doesn't bring me any joy. And I'm so done pretending to like things that I don't actually like. And so that's a simple example of how liberating it is and how much more confidence that you feel when you give yourself permission to just be you. And I'm going to give you another example. And this is really important because this one crosses into your professional life. And so I'm going to tell you a story from a couple decades ago. When I was in law school, believe it or not, check this out. Back in the early 90s, women did not wear pants when they worked in a large law firm. Like, not allowed to wear pants. How freaking bizarre is that? Well, that was just the way that it was, okay? And the thing is that when you talk about being your authentic self, I was just never a gal to wear a pencil skirt to work. First of all, you can't sit in them. I can't walk in them either. Secondly, it's just not my thing. And so I remember here I am in the early 90s. I'm in my 3rd year of law school where everybody's panic stricken about getting a job and you're applying to jobs and all of these big firms are coming to the campus to interview you, to hire you for jobs so that when you graduate, you have a job. And so I go to the mall and I go to Ann Taylor and I buy this navy blue pantsuit. It had this big wide belt on the blazer. It was just smoking awesome, especially for the early 90s. And here I am, I'm all dressed up to walk into my interviews, and I walk up the stairs to the main hall at Boston College Law School for my first interview. And as I'm walking up the stairs, a friend of mine is walking down the stairs, and he's like, Whoa, I just knocked over my tea glass. This was so like confronting. And he says to me, are you wearing that to the interview? Have you lost your mind, Mel? You're not going to get hired if you're wearing pants. And I said, yeah, no one I would want to work for. And here are the facts. Wearing a pair of pants meant that 95% of the places that I interviewed for, they didn't offer me a job. But I'm going to tell you what, I think it's the smartest move that you could make in life to be yourself. And remember what Dr. Romani said, it is also the bravest and one of the hardest things that you can do to be authentic, because it means you have to stand on your own at sometimes. And what that means for me is that it meant that I not only got to wear pants to work when I did finally get hired somewhere, but I got to work at a place where I could be myself. I mean, just imagine the alternative, where you have to walk into a job every day where you not only can't wear the kind of clothes that you like, but you don't feel like you can be yourself. I've had jobs like that. I'm sure you have too. How does it feel to sit at a job where you can't be yourself? It's draining. So wherever it is in your life that you're feeling afraid or full of doubt, or you're feeling drained and you're sitting there wearing a skirt and you wish you were wearing pants, I'm going to tell you something. You're not showing up as your authentic self. And the mistake that you're making is the mistake that I made for a long time. You're waiting for confidence so that you can change this. And I am here to tell you, confidence is waiting for you to show up. And I know this is easier said than done. This is what Dr. Romani was saying when she says this is the hardest thing to do, to be your authentic self. It takes bravery because you're not going to feel like it. You're going to feel a little bit scared when you first start showing up as yourself and making decisions that really align with you and prioritizing your time and your energy to the things that really make you feel expanded. Here is the definition, backed by research and science, of what confidence actually is. Confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is an action. Confidence is the willingness to try. That is your new definition of confidence. I'm going to say it again. Confidence is the willingness to try. So even when you're full of doubt, if you move ahead and you do it anyway, you are building confidence. And the other thing I want you to understand is that confidence is not just something that some people are born with, some people aren't. That's not how this rolls. Confidence is something that you build every single day. Because again, let's go back to the definition. Confidence is the willingness to try. It's not a personality trait. It is a skill. And this is fantastic news, because if it's a skill, it means you can practice this skill and you can build confidence, because every time you try, you become more confident in who you're becoming. And that's the truth about life. It's that simple. Being yourself creates confidence. And that ties into this definition. I want you to try more. I want you to be brave, because every time you start to show up as yourself, the confidence is going to build. And look, if you have trouble pushing yourself to try new things, if you have trouble wearing the pants to the interview, if you have trouble putting yourself out there and speaking up and taking risks, here's a quick hack that you can use. It helps to find a partner to practice this with, okay? So who could that person be in your life? This little confidence pusher person. Do you have a very positive roommate? Do you have a brother or a sister or a cousin? Do you have an old friend? Do you have a buddy at work? Somebody that is going to push you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Somebody that is willing to get on board, to help you try some new things, to take some risks, to encourage you. And look, if you don't have somebody like that in your corner, just imagine that I'm there, because I'm always in your corner. You can imagine, well, what would Mel say right now as you're getting dressed for the interview? You know what I would say. Wear the pants. If you feel like yourself in the pants, wear the pants. Stop pretending that you're not that person. Be yourself. And so if you're somebody that wants to put yourself out there more, practice going up to people and talking about the business that you're launching. And if you don't have that cousin or that sibling or that roommate that's like, come on, get over there. Just imagine that your friend Mel Robbins is there going, come on, sign up for that 5K. Come on, let's go. I'll be the one that's whispering in your ear, we can do it. You can do it. I'm going to be right there by your side. Because the third truth about living your most authentic life and being your true self is that when you start acting like you, the real you, it creates confidence. There are 4 more that you and I are going to cover, but I want to take a quick pause so we can hear a word from our amazing sponsor, Netflix. And you're going to want to stick around, because let me tell you, the 6th truth, Oh, ho, 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 ho. It's the one I know you really need to hear. Stay with me. Welcome back. It's your friend Mel, and you and I are talking about the big 7 truths on living confidently as your true authentic self. Now, you've already learned the first 3 truths. Number 1, when you start putting yourself first, you're going to disappoint people. That's okay. You got to learn how to do that. Number 2, being yourself is energizing. And you know that's true because trying to not be yourself, that is draining. And truth number 3, you got to learn to be yourself first because that's what creates the confidence. Don't sit around waiting for the confidence. You got to break through the self-doubt by being yourself, and you're going to see your confidence building. Now, here's the 4th truth to being your true self. Loving yourself first will create true and lasting love with other people. I mean, think about that. How could you feel good enough for someone else if you're not even good enough for yourself? And there's a lot of research that really is going to help you understand this. Research shows that in order to create better relationships, check this out, you don't change the person that you're dating. You have to change yourself. That's why the art of being yourself is going to require you to learn how to truly love yourself. It's almost as if loving yourself is the loudest love language there is. Research has found that in a romantic relationship, who you are has a much bigger effect than the match between you and somebody else. I'm going to say that again. Who you are has a much bigger effect than the match between you and your partner. I want you to listen to this study because it shows that the quality of your relationships will not change until you change. Now, this is based on an 8-year-long study that showed that people had the same dynamics in new partnerships as they had in past broken relationships. After the glow of the initial honeymoon dating phase had faded, same exact dynamics as the old broken relationships. Now, Dr. Matthew Johnson from the University of Alberta, who's a relationship researcher and lead author on the study, said this: although some relationship dynamics may change, you are still the same person. So you likely recreate many of the same patterns with the next partner. So here's what that research means for you. It doesn't matter if your partner is one of the best people in the world. If you're insecure, if you have a poor self-image, if you have a terrible relationship with yourself, if you have low self-worth, you're not going to be able to connect with that person. In fact, I bet you've had experiences in your past where you have dated somebody who's absolutely awesome and you're the one sabotaging things. That was me all through high school, college, and law school. I dated really great people, but here's the problem. I hated myself. And instead of learning how to love myself, you know what I did? I just kept changing the person that I was with. It was a great distraction in the beginning, but then ultimately, guess what happens when all the newness wears off? Hello, you're still there with your same broken relationship with yourself. And it wasn't until I started to change myself that I was able to create better relationships with other people. So if you're sitting there looking around on all the dating apps or looking around outside yourself for the validation and love that you need, you're looking in the wrong place. Based on the research and common sense, you got to look in the mirror. In fact, I mean it literally. I want you to start your day by looking in the mirror and doing something very specific to improve the relationship that you have with yourself. This is something that I'm going to teach you called the High 5 Habit. I've written an entire international best-selling book about this, and it uses a field of research called neurobics, which is the fastest proven way to reprogram old thinking patterns. And let's face it, hating yourself, telling yourself you're not good enough, treating yourself like garbage, that is an old, outdated thinking pattern. We got to reboot your mind. We got to update the way that you talk to yourself and treat yourself. And so I'm going to teach you how to use a simple hand gesture with a brand new thought to reprogram the way that you look at yourself, that you treat yourself, and it's going to help you love yourself. This is called the High 5 Habit. Now, my research team and I have now tested this free and simple habit with over 175,000 people who have tried it for 5 days, and the results are incredible. You are going to change how you feel about yourself, which is what the research says that you have to do. Love yourself first. And here's how you're going to practice it. Every single morning after you're done brushing your teeth, you're going to look yourself in the mirror and you're simply going to high five your own reflection in the mirror to send yourself in the day. I'm not kidding. I know it sounds ridiculous. It sounds cheesy, but every single morning, brush your teeth, put your toothbrush down, look yourself in the mirror, and then you're going to raise your hand and high five yourself. And here's what's crazy. You are going to feel the impact immediately. And after practicing this for 5 days, simply adding a high five in the mirror to yourself without saying a thing before you send yourself into the day. And after practicing it for 5 days in a row, it changes how you see yourself. One of the reasons why this works is this. A high five is what's called a neurobic exercise. And an aerobic exercise makes your brain snap into attention. It creates this kind of like brain fertilizer that makes your brain learn new habits faster. They are one of the easiest and most powerful ways to create new pathways and connections in your brain. And they have 3 specific parts. First of all, you take a routine activity like brushing your teeth in the morning and looking in the mirror, and you then pair it with something unexpected, like all of a sudden high-fiving yourself. You don't do that every morning, so your brain's not expecting that. And the third and final piece to this, based on the research, is it's paired with an emotion or thought that you'd like to feel. Now, here's where this habit gets super exciting. Let's think about a high five. What does a high five represent? A high five is a positive gesture that says, I love you, I support you, I see you, keep going. Your brain knows what a high five is. A high five is 1,000% positive programming. I mean, you have been giving other people high fives your entire life. You have been showing them the love. You've been celebrating them. And so when you high five yourself, it triggers celebratory and encouraging emotions to flood your body. The heightened aerobic state of high-fiving yourself creates new nerve connections in your brain that connect the action of high-fiving with the emotion of celebration. So every time you high-five yourself, you aim all that high-five goodness and positive programming right back at your own reflection. How freaking cool is that? I mean, you would high-five the person that you love in the morning, wouldn't you? So now you're doing it to yourself. And trust me when I tell you this. When you try this 5 mornings in a row, start your day with a high five in the mirror, you'll not only experience a boost in the moment, but over time, something awesome happens. This neurobic exercise rewires your mindset for more resilience, which is one of the most powerful benefits of a high five. I know, it sounds simple, but this cuts so deep. And you don't need to believe me. You just need to try it for 5 days and see what happens. I mean, what do you have to lose? If you now know based on the research that loving yourself first is the most important factor in you having loving relationships with other people, why wouldn't you try something for free? This works. It's grounded in science, and loving yourself first is how you create true and lasting love with other people in your life. All right, let's talk about the 5th truth of being your true self. And here it is. Learn to love what is unique about you. Because there is nothing authentic about constantly trying to fit in. I'm continuing to hit my teacup here. And here's what is scary about the times that we live in. Our friends on Bridgerton did not have to deal with social media. They just felt the fear of FOMO and the pressure to conform when they went into a ball. But for you and me, it is in our face on our phones with social media all day long. It is so easy to feel pressure to be just like everybody else, to wear the latest outfit, to follow the latest trend, to be drinking the right brand of whatever, to be wearing your hair a certain way. It's almost like we all are now running toward the same thing. I mean, even just take something as simple as an engagement ring. Why does everybody have to have a diamond? I mean, diamonds aren't the only gems that sparkle. Every gem does. That sparkle is your uniqueness. And it's everywhere. And a lot of times it's in the things that you don't appreciate about yourself. The way that you laugh, how you put everybody at ease, or the serious amount of time that you take when picking out your ice cream flavor. I mean, even the line behind you is now a mile long. You are taking it. This is my husband, Chris, by the way. He always does it. Can I have a sample of this? Can I have a sample of this? And I'm sitting there thinking, why are you having a sample when I know exactly what you're going to order? And then he ultimately orders black raspberry ice cream with chocolate chips. And here's the thing. It used to drive me crazy, but now I love it about him. And honestly, when I think about it, that's the kind of unique thing about Christopher Robbins, because that's how he goes through everything in his life. In fact, I was just traveling with Chris and our son Oakley this weekend, and we were moving through an airport, and I kept turning to our son Oakley going, "Where is your father?" Because Chris was nowhere to be seen. And Oakley would turn and be like, "Oh, you know him. He's just strolling around, taking it all in." Chris just moves at a different pace. Because here he is, I don't know where in the airport, and I'm already through security. I've gotten a coffee. I'm ready to board at the gate. Chris is probably still talking to the guy at the TSA, getting to know him, hearing about how his day was going. And I just love that about Chris. And so what is the thing about you that you've been hating on, or you've been making yourself wrong? What if you could learn to love it? Your height, your freckles, or that you'd rather be the one listening and taking it all in, and behind the scenes, you don't need to be the center of attention. What if you celebrated that? Or maybe you're the one who isn't willing to settle for somebody, who isn't willing to say, well, good enough is good enough for me, or a job that's kind of it pays the bills. No, celebrate the fact that you're always looking for more, just because there's something about that that makes you come alive. All that stuff is your sparkle. And here's the cool thing on focusing on what makes you unique. When you're not so focused on fitting in and being like everybody else, you don't feel so competitive. It's almost as if by recognizing what's unique about you, you start to see what's unique about everybody. And suddenly there's room for everybody. No comparison, no judgment, just admiration for everybody's sparkle all around. You're allowing space for your authenticity and for everybody else's authenticity without doing all that competitive crap that makes you feel superior in the moment, but keeps you feeling insecure and afraid of judgment, because if you're busy judging other people, you know that subconsciously they're doing that to you. Now, this not only is going to help you learn how to appreciate and love all the many facets that make up you, but it will also help you appreciate and love all the many facets that make up the people that you love. And instead of trying to change someone else, like I'm not going to speed Chris up through the airport. I'm not going to change his ice cream order or how he does it. It's not my job to turn him into somebody that he's not. You know what my job is in a relationship? It's to learn how to admire and love what is unique about somebody else. To give someone else the space to express what is unique about them. No comparison. No judgment, just admiration all around. Because when you remember that all gems sparkle, you'll also see more beauty than you ever could before. And that brings us to truth number 6. What you think about your life matters way more than what other people think about it. And it is high time, if you want to live your most authentic life and be your truest self, it is high time for you to care more about what you think and feel than how other people feel about it. Because you will never, ever, ever live a life that you're meant to live if you're constantly worried about what other people are thinking, or if you're worried about whether or not they're going to judge you. And as I said earlier, they're going to. People are going to be disappointed no matter what you do. Let them. And the tool here that you need to be yourself is my let them theory. Just let them. Let them judge. Let them be disappointed. Let them say what they're going to say. Let them not invite you. Let them do what they're going to do or not do. It will literally free you. When you let other people say what they're going to say and you do not make it your concern to waste your time and energy trying to manage it, but instead you take your power back and you turn all that time and energy back on you and you flip it back to yourself and you say, you know what? Let them say what they're going to say. Let me live my life. Let me be myself. Let me do what makes me happy. Let me spend my Friday night or my weekend or next year putting myself first. When you do that, you unlock a level of confidence and freedom that you have never felt in your entire life. And this is not about not caring about what other people think, because of course you kind of care. It's about learning how to care more about what makes you happy. Of course you care. That's why you've let other people's opinions bother you so long. But here's one thing I'm going to hit you with. When you use my let them theory, you're going to learn that two things can be true at the same time. Other people can have their opinions about you, and they can still love you. Other people can question or be critical of what you're doing, and they can still be your friend. And if you stop and think about it, you feel that way about other people. I mean, just think about your own family. How many times do people that you love do things that you do not like? In my household, it's daily. That does not change the fact that I still love my family like crazy. In fact, I think your family teaches you how to love somebody that you don't actually like all the time, right? Two things can be true at once. You can have an opinion about what somebody's doing and still care about them and love them. So give yourself the same grace that you're giving everyone else in your life. Let them have their opinions, and then remind yourself to let me live my life, because my happiness, my authenticity is my responsibility. And I would rather spend my time and energy managing that than managing people's opinions about it. And that brings me to the final and seventh truth. So many of you write to me and say, Mel, can I truly have it all? And here's truth number 7. Yes, you can have it all, but not all at once. Look, I know how it feels to have a dream that never seems to materialize. I know how it feels to sacrifice your dream for everyone else's and think, is it ever going to be my turn? Is it ever going to be my turn? Am I ever going to be able to do what I want? And so when you ask me, can I truly have it all? As your friend, I would never tell you that you cannot have it. If you're willing to work for it, I believe that you can create absolutely anything in your life, period. But it takes confidence, and it takes living your life authentically to have it all. And this is a really important thing. See, I think you're meant to discover who you truly are. And life holds back what you're meant to achieve until you start aligning your life with who you truly are. That there is an exchange here, and you got to show up. This is why, remember rule number 3, you got to act like yourself because it creates confidence. You got to be the first one to move. And then life has this magical way of showing up and aligning and supporting the direction that you move in when you're moving in congruency with what energizes you. Because nothing will derail you faster than feeling like you can't keep it all together, that you're not pursuing what truly matters to you. And the reason why that happens is because you actually have your life organized where everybody else comes first. You're not paying attention to the little things that make you feel more like you. And that's why you need to hear me say when I say, yeah, you can have it all, but not all at once. And here's what I mean by that. Get serious about the many facets of your life. Because you are a multifaceted, sparkly person that has a lot going on. And then pick a theme that you're going to work on for 6 months at a time. And by a theme, I mean, this is your number one, okay? This is the facet we're going to focus on. And there have been times in my life when my career was more important than the time I was spending at home. There was a time in my life where my social life was way more important than school or my career. There have been times where there was nothing more important on this planet than the people that I love. And so pick a theme right now for the next 6 months of what your top priority in your life is going to be. When you think about your most authentic self, what do you want to focus on as the number one thing for the next 6 months? This is the thing that's going to bring you the most expansion, the thing that really needs your attention, the thing that makes you feel like you are finally taking that internal spotlight and shining it on what matters most to you, because you can have it all, but not all at once. And if you get clear about what the number one thing is that you're pushing forward, here's what's really interesting. as you create space for that number one facet, right? And that's what you're going to shine your attention on. Something interesting happens. All of a sudden, it creates little pockets of time to work on all the other things too. You can have it all, but not all at once. Whew. All right. How you feeling right now? I feel pretty good. Are you ready to go and live your life for you? Are you ready to point yourself in a more true and authentic direction to feel more energized? I know you are. So let me quickly recap the 7 truths. Number 1, when you start putting yourself first, you're going to disappoint other people. I want you to expect it. You got to learn how to be okay with it, because when you don't live a life that is true to you, you're disappointing yourself. Number 2, being yourself is so energizing, and that's your GPS. There is nothing more depleting in life than pretending you're somebody that you're not. Stop doing it. Pay attention to where your life is draining you and start adding in the small things during the day that make you come alive. It is magical how it creates so much positive energy in your life. Truth number 3, being yourself creates confidence. So stop sitting around waiting for the doubt to go away. That self-doubt is blocking the real you. You have to be willing to try. You have to be willing to push yourself. You have to be willing to move toward what is energizing and disappoint other people, and the confidence will build. Truth number 4, loving yourself first will create true and lasting love with other people. So for the next 5 days, I want you to prove to yourself every single morning after you brush your teeth, I want you to high five yourself in the mirror as an act of love to prove to yourself that you are serious about changing your relationship with yourself and being more loving. Because when you love yourself first, you create true and lasting love with other people. Truth number 5, learn to love what is unique about you. Instead of ignoring it or trying to change it, embrace it. No judgment, just all kinds of admiration. It is just a simple trick that changes everything. Truth number 6, what you think and feel about your life matters way more than what other people are going to think about it. Look, people are going to have their opinions, but your opinion about what you're doing is the most important one to care about. And finally, number 7, you can have it all when you are your true self, just not all at once. So pick that number 1 facet of your life that you're going to focus on for the next 6 months and wake up every day and make sure that you are adding something in that allows you to feel the energy that comes when you know deep in your heart that you are spending time every day doing something that makes you feel more like you. And with these 7 truths as your guide, you will feel more confident, more courageous, and you now know the secret to living a more authentic life. And in case no one else tells you today, I wanted to be the first to tell you that I love you and I believe in you, and I believe in your ability to create a better life by living it as your truest self. I'm going to teach you how to create and use what I call a confidence anchor, not only when you're about to fly and you're nervous, but for any single situation where you're nervous to do something. Okay? Are you ready?
Yep.
Awesome. It's super cool. And for you listening, I want you to just hold that situation that you're nervous about. So maybe you're nervous to give a presentation at work, or maybe you have a son or a daughter who is getting recruited for a sport, and now there's all these big team matches coming up and they're starting to get nervous. This confidence anchor is exactly what you need. So step number 1 is you're going to think about this situation that makes you nervous, okay? And we've already talked about that, Cameron. It's this flight to Portugal. Step number 2 is come up with something about this situation that actually makes you excited. So describe for me, Cameron, what are you excited to do when you get to Portugal?
I think the thing that I'm most excited for is to see my sister. I haven't seen her in a couple months. She's been in London. So I don't know. When it when I think about Portugal, there's a lot of things I'm excited for, but probably the biggest thing is just to spend time with her.
I love it.
And yeah.
That's perfect. Okay, great. So you now have something related to the situation that makes you nervous that you're actually excited about, okay? Now, number 3 is the most important part. Number 3 is now that you have something that you're excited about, I want you to close your eyes and we're going to bring it to life. I want you to imagine the moment that you lay eyes on your sister for the first time in several months. And I'm imagining, are you imagining the airport or a cobblestone street? Like, what is the scene? Describe with your eyes closed. What is she wearing? What happens? Describe it for us.
Well, first of all, she's probably, I don't know, she's probably mad that we're late about something. But when I think about it, we're in probably like Lisbon where we're going to land, and probably right outside, the first glance of a new city, something that is always really exciting when you leave an airport. I think that's the best part about flying, is getting to somewhere you're, anticipating seeing. So I picture that. I picture her standing there, probably like in some black sweater, because that's usually what she's wearing. And yeah, I think seeing her face reacting to my mom, me and my brother, that's going to be like the best part, because I know she, even if she won't admit it, she does miss us a lot. So
awesome. And who is she going to hug first?
100% my mom.
Okay, awesome. And how amazing.
I'll probably be last.
Okay. And as you stand there and watch her in her black sweater with Lisbon in the background hugging your mom, what are you feeling?
Like a sense of comfort, a sense of wholeness, and yeah, just a really good feeling to have us all together during like a really hard time of the year. It's gonna be really special.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's your confidence anchor. That moment that you just described in detail, the black sweater, Lisbon in the background, her reaction as she sees you, her hugging your mother first, the wholeness, the comfort, all of that you just felt in your body, that is your confidence anchor. Now, here's how you're going to use it. From now until that moment happens, the millisecond that you feel any nerves or any fear or any negative thought come up related to this thought, you're going to close your eyes. You can use my 5-second rule to interrupt the worries. Just count backwards with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep. That is a starting ritual that will signal to your brain that you're not going to think about a plane crash. You are starting to think about something else. And then you are going to bring to the forefront of your mind that image, that feeling that you just described. And that is how you drop a confidence anchor on these bullshit nerves and worries that have been hijacking your life. That's what a confidence anchor is. You're using your own excitement about something that normally makes you nervous to shatter the grip that fear and nerves has on your body and your mind. That's what you're going to do. And when you head to the airport on the way to the plane, you're going to use this same confidence anchor. And when you get on that plane and your thoughts go, uh-oh, you're going to go, nope, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're going to drop that confidence anchor. And when you take off in the middle of the night and the pilot says, we might experience a little bit of turbulence, because pilots often say that, you're going to drop that confidence anchor. And you're going to come back over and over and over again to this image of your sister and the black sweater and Lisbon behind her and her hugging your mother, that's exactly what you're going to do. And you're going to be shocked because this is a technique that they studied at Harvard Business School called reframing performance anxiety was the name of the study, reframing performance anxiety. And it's a way to flip moments that make you nervous into moments that make you excited and to keep control of your mind, body, and spirit so that your fears don't hijack and torture you.
Wow.
What do you think?
I mean, it makes sense because I think in the moments of panic, the last thing I'm doing is thinking about anything that brings me happiness. It's always the darkest feelings, the heaviest emotions versus, even just closing my eyes just now. I feel so different, like sitting here. I feel like even thinking about that moment makes me happy. And I'm excited to use it because I know I'm going to be anxious all next week, week after.
So you want to know why this works?
I do.
Okay.
Seems too good to be true, honestly. It seems too good to be true.
Well, the reason why it works is because it taps into your body's automatic systems. If you look into the neuroscience on this, scientists call this an autonomic response, that basically your nervous system has a autonomic response to stressful situations. Okay, that like if you're a normal person like me, you just say, "Oh yeah, if we're in a stressful situation, we automatically feel all kinds of things, right?" And so what I want you to understand is that, when we're in situations that make us nervous, everybody, whether you're giving a speech or you're going into an interview or you're on a first date or you're running a track meet or you're getting on a plane or you're breaking up with somebody or you're going in for a job interview, it is going to be automatic that your nerves take over because you're about to do something that makes you stressed out a little bit. It's requiring you to feel, it makes you feel a little bit vulnerable. But here's the cool thing. Even though you have this automatic response, because you're right, there's no way over the next 5 weeks you're not going to feel anxious because that's the autonomic response that your body has to this stressful thing. But here's the cool thing, Cameron, you can control this. So here's the secret. The secret is understanding that your body's reactions to fear, so your automatic reaction to a fearful situation, is the exact same as your body's automatic response to an exciting situation. And we're going to use this truth that your body's automatic reaction to fear is the same as your body's automatic reaction to excitement to your advantage. So tell me about a situation that makes you excited, like just something like in your day-to-day life, okay? Give me a situation that makes you excited.
In my day-to-day life, that makes me excited.
Well, how about this? Who's your favorite musician?
I really like the Lumineers.
Okay, great. Guess what? The Lumineers are playing a private concert at the new private venue at the Fenway Park. You, my friend, not only have front row seats, you're going to meet them before the show.
Okay.
It's 5 weeks out. How do you feel?
Jittery a little bit. Like kind of the same feeling I would have if I, was playing a big soccer game or running an important race when I was younger, like the clammy hands, the pit in your stomach.
Yep. Dude, we're walking into this venue. You're walking up to the front row. How you feeling?
My heart's beating fast. I'm like going a million miles an hour. I don't know. Probably feeling like really on edge.
Yeah, the usher is coming up to be like, okay, they're ready to meet you. How you feeling?
I'd be like, okay, like, let me collect myself. Yeah, probably really flustered and I don't know, like a little bit anxious probably.
So it kind of sounds like a situation like that where you're about to meet your favorite band. Which I would say, is that a positive or a negative experience?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I mean, a positive one, obviously.
Well, it sounds very similar to the way that you experience the thought of flying to Portugal.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
Yeah. You want to know the only difference? When you're in the situation that's positive, that makes you excited, and you're about to meet the Lumineers, your
Hmm.
brain is telling you you're excited. Your brain is telling you the jitters in your stomach are butterflies. And that's a good thing. Your brain is telling you your hands are clammy and your heart is racing because something good's about to happen. The only difference between that and what you experience as you think about flying to Portugal is what your brain is saying about the flight. When you start to experience butterflies in your stomach as you are about to board the flight, your brain's going, uh-oh, there's something wrong. This is negative. The plane's gonna crash. You're experiencing in your body, Cameron, the exact same physical and physiological symptoms when you meet the Lumineers as when you board a plane. And the only difference is what your brain is saying about it. And so the reason why a confidence anchor works is we are going to shut your negative brain down and drop this confidence anchor right on it like a sledgehammer. And we're going to replace your narrative that something's wrong with, holy shit, I'm about to see my sister. This is so exciting. It's as exciting as meeting the Lumineers. And when your brain starts to say the butterflies are positive, you won't
Yeah,
escalate into a panic attack. You will have taken control. How cool is that?
that's pretty cool.
So, do you have any questions about the confidence anchor and how you're going to use it?
It just honestly seems still a little bit too good to be true. Like, I don't know. I can just conquer all my fears just by flipping the way I'm thinking.
There's a scientific reason why this works. So, they researched this at Harvard Business School. And what they did is they put people in control groups and put them in situations that made them nervous. So, they put one group into a control group where they had to run a track meet. Another one had to sing karaoke. Another one was in like a debating competition. And they taught one group of people to use this reframing tool where you think about something related to the track meet or the debating competition or karaoke that you're excited about. And so this group was taught to say, I'm excited. I'm excited to run this meet. I'm excited to get up there on the stage and conquer my fears. I'm excited to go and debate because I've prepared. The people who use this simple reframing tool outperformed the people who didn't. They felt less nervous, and there's a scientific reason why. Earlier, we talked about the fact that there are these automatic responses that our body has to situations that are exciting or stressful. And in our case, Cameron, we talked about the Lumineers and how that's exciting, meeting the Lumineers, and getting on a plane to Portugal, which used to make you nervous. Just talking about those two situations created an automatic response in your body, didn't it?
Yep.
That automatic response is nothing more than a series of chemicals firing and messages firing between your brain and your nervous system. The reason why you and I get butterflies is because when the brain sends a message down to your nervous system that, holy cow, we got to get on a plane, or holy cow, the Lumineers are about to walk in, your nervous system goes, oh, got it, and immediately starts changing up the chemicals in your body. Adrenaline fires. The blood races to your head and to your heart. That's why your heart starts pounding. That's why your thoughts start to race. Now you get butterflies because the signal in your brain going to your gut just changed the chemicals in your digestive tract. That's why we all get butterflies. That's it. And so in the situation with the Lumineers, you flipped your thoughts. I'm excited to meet them. And so that explains all the reasons why you have all of these changes going on in your body, why your heart is racing, why your butterflies are in your stomach. This automatic response doesn't scare you because you're thinking positive thoughts when it comes to the Lumineers. Now, when you get on the plane and your brain signals to your stomach that something's up and your heart starts to race because the blood goes to your heart, and the butterflies start to flutter in your stomach because the chemical structure just changed in your digestive tract. If you have negative thoughts about the plane, a couple things happen. You start to get scared of the automatic response in your body. And more cortisol starts to flood your brain, which is the stress hormone. And once that happens, what they found at the Harvard Business School study is that the cortisol interferes with your brain's ability to do whatever you had prepared to do. This is why most of us, when we stand on a stage, go blank. It's because we have an automatic response. Our brain goes, oh shit. We get scared of our racing heart because we think it means that the plane's about to crash or about to screw something up. The cortisol floods our brain and we forget what we prepared. When the cortisol floods your brain, you forget about seeing your sister. You forget about all the exciting things. You forget about all the research that you did that shows that traveling by commercial airplane is the safest way to travel, period. That's why this matters. And it's more than just thinking positive thoughts. It's critical that you come up with the thing you're excited about before you get into the situation. Because once your thoughts start to race and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to screw up this test, or oh my God, I'm going to screw up this interview, or oh no, the plane, you've already lost control. You have to come up with this exciting anchor and this confidence anchor before you start to get nervous. Got it?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
It just makes so much sense. I always have taken the approach of calm down, Cam, kind of making myself to be the bad guy, and not really reframing it in any way, just letting myself kind of soak in all the stress and anxiety, and just kind of reprimand myself, being like, what the heck, why are you not just calming down? Like, there's a 6-year-old that's, bouncing around and it's like, ooh, I love when the plane goes up and down. And it's like, why can't I be like that 6-year-old? But
let me tell you why.
I think
this is excellent, Cameron. Let me tell you why you can't bite by that 6-year-old, because I love this analogy. The 6-year-old's brain is not attaching negative thoughts to the plane bouncing up and down. As far as the 6-year-old is concerned, this is exciting. That's why they're not panicking. And so the reason why in the history of telling yourself to calm down, you have never been able to calm down is because you are dealing with an automatic response in your body. So let's go back to the science. When you get into a situation that makes you nervous or that makes you stressed out or makes you afraid or that makes you excited, those are states in your body of high agitation. Those are states of alertness. Those are states when your blood starts pumping and your brain starts paying attention and, everything kind of aligns because you're about to do something that makes you excited or fun or nervous or afraid. And so you go into a state of being hyper alert. That state of high agitation is one that you can't calm down like that. So what we're doing when we teach you to create a confidence anchor and to use excitement to reframe what you're feeling is we're taking a state of high agitation from the negative to a state of high agitation in the positive. We're actually using the automatic response in our body to our advantage, and we're just tricking our brain to believe that we're actually excited because our brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain is like the 6-year-old. Your brain actually doesn't know the difference between excitement and fear. That baby that's bouncing is feeling the heart racing and then the bubbles in her stomach. It's just that your brain is framing it in the negative. Because your brain knows that excitement and that fear feels the same, that Lumineers, that meeting the Lumineers and being on an airplane feels the same. You can use that to your advantage and trick your brain in a moment where you would normally be nervous to actually think you're excited. And the reason why this matters, Cameron, is because when you're on that plane, if you can come back over and over and over to your confidence anchor, and if you can close your eyes in a moment of turbulence, and you can imagine your sister, and you can Start to say out loud, and this is important. You got to say to yourself, I'm so excited to see. What's your sister's name?
Sienna.
I am so excited to see Sienna. I'm so excited to see Sienna. I cannot wait for Sienna to hug my mom. I cannot wait for this. If you come back to that confidence anchor, you are going to flip your brain into believing that you're excited about that moment and you will no longer be afraid. And it's a way to gain control. And you know what? You want to know something really cool? Because your confidence anchor is related to what you're doing, it's really believable. Because when you are there hugging your sister, it means the plane made it and there's nothing to be worried about. That's why this works. When you imagine before a test, yourself walking out of there going, yes, it actually makes you excited to take it. When you imagine yourself nailing the interview, it makes you excited to walk into it because your brain doesn't know the difference between a state of fear or a state of excitement. And now you know a simple trick backed by research from Harvard to take control of your mind and take control in situations where nerves normally derail you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that was always like in the back of my head during our conversation was if I'm still, I feel fear in a lot of different areas of my life, not when I'm just in the air. So when I'm on the ground, how can I use this tool to ground myself, even if I'm not sure the outcome of it?
I love this. Okay, great question. I want you to take out a notebook and you're going to write down any single thing that makes you nervous. Could be anything. I mean, what? Give me a couple.
There's a long list probably, but off the top of my head, like something that, I don't know, I really wish that I could beat the fear on is I recently moved, not that far, but there's a really nice yoga studio on my street that I like pass every day. And I just always think like I need to be a part of a community of 20 somethings that are like-minded, that, you know, I've always loved yoga. I've loved the community it brings. But I cannot bring myself to sign up, and I can't bring myself up. Like I just constantly think about the day I have to show up for my first class, and it makes me way too anxious to even like go.
This is an excellent example. And by the way, incredibly common and very relatable.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you shared it. So you're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to create a confidence anchor. Because what I hear is I hear you want to do it. I hear it pulling you. And the nerves are keeping you back. So name something you're excited about. So like, can you pick like a coffee shop in your neighborhood that you love to go to and it's going to be your treat to get a nice latte when you're done?
Yep. Do you want me to name it?
Yeah, I do.
It's called Thinking Cup.
I love Thinking Cup. Now, you're going to close your eyes. What color yoga tights are you wearing?
Oh, God. Maybe like, I have this really nice light blue ones that I always like to wear.
I love it. And as a treat, because you went to this relaxing yoga class in your light blue tights, sweatshirt tied around your waist, yoga bag over your shoulder, standing at Thinking Cup, what did you order?
Probably like an iced oat milk latte.
Love it. Love it. How do you feel?
Yeah.
As you're walking out of the Thinking Cup, having just completed that class and treating yourself to that, how do you feel right now?
Like proud of myself for doing it.
Awesome. There's your confidence anchor. Anytime you feel nervous, you're going to count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to interrupt the nerves and create that starting ritual, and you're going to drop that confidence anchor. And what's going to happen is it's going to slowly retrain your mind that you're not nervous about joining that yoga studio. You're actually excited. And when you start to practice this confidence anchor, at some point you're going to find yourself walking down the street and there's the studio. And as that wave, because remember, it's automatic, that automatic response comes up because you're about to do something new. Social proof, that can plummet your self-esteem. What do you mean by social proof?
Right. So social proof tells a student or an adult that you are important in this world. You make a positive impact on the world around you. The idea of mattering, whether it's for students or for people at work or for people who are retired, mattering matters throughout life. Young, old, rich, poor. There is what researchers call an instinct to matter. So beyond food and shelter, it is the instinct to matter that researchers say drive all of human behavior, for better or for worse. When we feel like we matter, we show up in the world in positive ways. We achieve in healthy ways. We want to give back to society. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to be a great colleague. We want to lift people up because we have this deep core of mattering. When we feel like we don't matter, when we are made to feel marginalized, we can either fall inward, get depressed, anxious, lean on substances to feed our loneliness, or we can act out. So a school shooter is, among the most tragic examples. You don't think I matter? I'll show you I matter. This is a universal need that we all have, and we are living in a society where it is going unmet for too many people. And that, to me, is the driving force behind the loneliness we're feeling, the anxiety that we think we're not worthy, the depression when we feel invisible, when no one cares about us, or when we think no one cares about us.
So it sounds like we all have this innate, important, critical need to feel as though we matter in the world at large or to other people, that we have something to contribute. That is the core issue that most of us are struggling with. And the symptoms that it's not being met are things like loneliness, despair, feeling angry, anxiety. All of those things rise to the surface when this core need isn't met. I really want to dig deeper and deeper into this, because I think when, our audience, which is now in 194 countries, when people write in, I have no friends, I don't know what to do with my life, I believe this is an issue that this person has no social proof that they matter. And so can you give us examples of what is social proof that you matter?
In a corporate event, a 30-year-old raised his hand and he said, sometimes I feel like I don't matter. Is there a mantra I could say to myself to help me put myself in that mattering mindset? And I said, no. I said, here's what you need to do. You need to go down to your cafeteria and you need to smile at the cafeteria lady who always smiles at you and asks you how your day is going. And you need to say to her, these days have been a little rough for me, but knowing that you're going to be there greeting me with this delicious meal, making me smile, you brighten my day every day. I just want you to know that. Unlocking the mattering in other people feeds our own mattering. So instead of a mantra, better to go out and be kind and, caring to the person at the drugstore who's ringing up, who's probably being attacked day in and day out for not moving fast enough or not, and just thanking them, just thanking everyday people, thanking a friend who's been there for you, just a quick text. Mattering is felt, in big moments, right? When we are celebrating a milestone birthday and somebody gives a toast to us and tells us why we matter to them. But it's also found in little everyday moments too. And those little moments of mattering or not mattering pile up. I just remember distinctly, I was at an office party with my husband, and a guy was talking to me, but on his phone and texting the entire conversation. And I thought to myself, wow, I really don't matter here. I really don't matter to this guy. He wasn't being rude to me. He was just showing me, yeah, you don't matter as much as this phone. So when our kids come up to talk to us and we're scrolling or we're doing a work email, they can be getting those small signals of not mattering, like I got at that office party.
You recommend when kids come home from school that there's one question that you ask that shows that you matter. What is that question?
I lead with lunch.
What does that mean?
What I used to do before researching this book is my kids would come home and I'd be, thinking, how'd you do on the Spanish quiz? How'd it go on your report today? And what I realized in doing the research was that the signal I was sending my kids, one, was that achievement mattered. Two, this is what I'd been thinking about all day while they were at school. And so instead now when they walk in the door, I lead with lunch. I ask them, what'd you have for lunch today? And I got that idea because my grandmother, in every conversation I would have with her, she's since passed away, it would always be, what did you have for lunch? It was, I care about you. I care about your nourishment. I care about things that have nothing to do with how you look, what grade you got, how your career is going. I just care about you and your basic needs.
And what did you see change in the dialogue with your kids when you started asking about lunch instead of the Spanish test?
Well, first of all, what I have realized and what the research shows is my kids don't need me to ask about their Spanish test. They already are getting the signals everywhere that achievement matters so much. So what I've realized is that my home needs to be a place for kids to recover, for my teens to recover from the pressure they're feeling from their peers' parents, from teachers, from the college admissions process. My home needs to be a haven from that pressure. So I don't need to ask about their Spanish quiz because they're going to tell me. It's already on their minds.
So is the same true when your partner comes home from work or your roommates come home from work? How do you signal that they matter to you? What's the question that you ask?
I think, what was the best part of your day? I think what mattering to me is that I value for who you are at your core. It is not contingent on your performance. It's not contingent on how you look that day. It's not contingent on how many dates you're going on. You matter no matter what. Unconditional mattering. And we need to be a source of unlocking it in other people.
And if you want to build your own self-esteem, put your attention on other people and unlock it in them. Make eye contact, smile, point out what you appreciate that people are doing for you. Thank people, compliment their nails. It's so easy to do. And not enough of us are doing it. And you do get back this reciprocal exchange of energy that makes you feel important because you just made somebody else smile or you just made somebody else light up when you said their name. There was a Gallup study that was done that I found to be shocking, that something like 80% of people haven't been told by their boss that they're appreciated in the last year. Not a single acknowledgement that what you do here matters and I appreciate you for doing it. And that to me is stunning, except for the fact that the same research showed, if I recall correctly, that most people assume you know how I feel about you. And that's the huge mistake that we're all making, that we assume that our kids know that we love them, but we never say that we put our attention on other things like the Spanish test, which then cues to somebody that's what she cares about. That's all that she cares about. She's really happy when the team wins. She's not so happy when we don't. And so I think what you're revealing is this real thin veil that separates us from one another, that we don't realize we need to have to get super, super proactive about.
One of the reasons that research finds this, that we don't tell people how much they mean to us and how much we appreciate them, is because we think they're going to be embarrassed by our feedback.
Really?
And yeah, when there's a research on gratitude about why people don't express their gratitude, because they underestimate how the other person will receive it. And sometimes they think they'll embarrass the other person. But the research does not bear that out. So just to clear up any misconceptions.
You just said that 80+% of parents believe that if your kid is doing poorly on a test or gets bad grades, it is a reflection on your parenting. But you've got this amazing reframe. What does a bad grade mean?
Yes, I got this wonderful advice from child psychologist Lisa D'Amour, and I have used it in my own home as well. So when a child brings home a bad grade. Instead of dismissing it or saying that's okay, help them widen their perspective. Here's what a bad grade on a one-off test tells you. It tells you that that's what you knew that specific day. It doesn't mean how much your teacher loves you. It doesn't mean how well you're going to do in the future. It doesn't define who you are as a student. It's one test on one particular day, and we all have bad days.
I love that. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.